Okay, I think I got the Shrine deck tech done. Oh, that was a really tricky deck to finish. But what is the best way to introduce this deck? Okay, I apologize in advance for people who are going to hear some cringy scening, but let's do a parody. Shrine, shrine, shrine it all out. These copies are made by Volo. Volo's copying shrines. Volo. And I just now apologize for about 30 people I just now made cringe with that not great parody. Nevertheless, let's take a look how Volo can help us with shrines in this week's episode of the Brewing Labs. Hello everybody, and welcome to a shrine-tastic variation of the Brewing Labs. So, this is going to be our take on 5-color shrines. For those who don't know, we did got a new shrine cycle thanks to Neon Dynasty, specifically the Go Shintai cycle, which is a special cycle of legendary enchantment creature that are shrines. But yet they don't have the creature type shrine, since shrine is technically not a creature type, it's a subtype. They went through a whole kind of like a design article explaining that and such. Nevertheless, while technically this in Commander makes these shrines a little bit since you want to kind of like try to synergize it with tribal synergy, especially with that new Rainbow Go Shintai Legendary that we got from the set in the set boosters, this actually does have a pretty funny synergy with one specific legendary, which in this case is Volo, Guide the Monsters. Volo is a 4-mana free 2 legendary creature human wizard. It has, whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. A copy of a creature spell becomes a token. So just in case, if for some reason we get creature travel spells in an upcoming set or something like that, I guess. Nevertheless, we do actually synergize a lot with Volo, since shrines either in the graveyard or on the battlefield don't have a creature type at all, that means we can make multiple copies. Now, I hear some of you saying the factor that, yes, you could technically make multiple copies of shrines, but wouldn't by legendary rule, wouldn't just a copy die, or whichever copy you want to die? True, but that's why we're running also two of mirror bots in this deck, which is essentially allows us to have the legend rule don't apply to permanents we control, which is very nifty. And then also each legendary creature we control gets a +1/+1 boost, as well as each non-token creature we control gets a +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. So it's very synergistic in our deck, since we are essentially going to sometimes use Volo to make multiple copies of enchantments and get multiple benefit triggers off the in-step abilities of this Go Shintai cycle. For example, Boundless Vigor pretty much gets us a counter on a target shrine for each shrine we control. We also have Go Shintai Lost Wisdom that mills cards for each shrine we control to a target player. This one deals burn damage to the opponent or to opponent's planeswalkers. This one will destroy a target creature with toughness X or less equal to the number of shrines. And one of the more powerful ones in the deck, Go Shintai Shared Purposes, which creates a 1/1 color spirit creature token for each shrine we control. That's because we're kind of running a semi-spirit synergy within the deck, so let's just go through the curve and kind of like explain the deck out. We're running a 4 of Generous Visitor. I kind of swip-slop with this. You're going to see some deck types where you're going to see some plays of Tamiyo's Safekeeping, as well as this card. I kind of wanted to show both games off, since there is kind of really good synergies for considering both of them, I would say. You could even consider cutting out the Forceful Cultivator, essentially, if you're on a budget, and actually just go free split with Generous Visitor and Tamiyo's Safekeeping, or a 4 or 2 of. But essentially, this is just a very powerful 1-drop. Whenever we cast an enchantment, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. Since a large percentage of our deck are enchantment creatures, it kind of makes sense that we would want that in the deck. We're also running a new card from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Alchemy Edition, which is Chronicler Worship, 1 in a green for a 1/1 human monk. Whenever this enters the battlefield, put a random shrine from among the top 7 cards of your library into your hand. It perpetually gains. The spell costs 1 less to cast, then shuffle your library. And then you can also add 1 mana of any color. This helps us since we're going Rainbow, This helps us get our shrines out of our library and discount them, which is very nice. Overall, pretty good card. Also helps us ramp into our 4-drops, which, as you can see, we have our top end being a lot of 4-drops. Then on our free drop slot, we're playing Welcoming Vampire. This is just a nice card draw engine card in our deck, so anytime we're going to play a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under our control, we draw a card. It only triggers once each turn. But as you can tell, a lot of our deck is power 2 or less, so we can consistently draw cards from this. Plus, it's also the only vampire in the deck, so if Volo's out on the battlefield, we can make a multiple copy and make 2 copies of Welcoming Vampire, which then will have multiple card draw triggers, which is very, very nice. Then, of course, we have Mirror Bots, as we mentioned with the Volo combo. We also have Ghost Shintai in here. One thing to note, technically with Mirror Bots, it does negate Welcoming Vampire a teeny little bit on some of the cards, because some of the cards, like the 4-drop Ghost Shintai cycle, specifically Ghost Shintai of Hidden Cruelty, then anytime we play that card or the Forceful Cultivator, it will not get the card draw from Welcoming Vampire since its power is going to be increased. So, it's something to keep in mind, I will say. But lucky enough, this buff only happens to legendary creatures, and it's only rare if we have a copy of this on the battlefield. But still, it's something to keep in mind. Then on our 4-drop slots, we have the Shrines, as well as Hallowed Haunting, another very good card in this deck. As long as we control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have Flying and Vigilance, and then whenever you cast an enchantment spell, which we're going to be casting a lot in this deck, create a white spirit creature token with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of spirits you control. This is very synergistic with Ghost Shintai Shared Purpose, since this makes spirit tokens. So the Spirit Cleric tokens that we get from this when we cast enchantment spells will get buffed from the spirit tokens that we generate with Ghost Shintai Shared Purpose, which is a very, very powerful synergy. And nevertheless, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Volo with the Mirror Bots combo to make multiple copies. So, pretty much our premise of our deck is try to go wide, get a lot of value from the Shrines, and maybe make multiple copies with the Volo Mirror Bots combo. Whether or not that's going to look, let's find out, shall we? Okay, we're going against Mr. Z. I wonder what Mr. Z shenanigans shall be. As for this hand, not bad. We can choose blue on this, choose green, and if we want to, we could just throw into a Careful Cultivator. I think here I'm going to choose blue, so that we can play one of our Ghost Shintais. We can go get the red with the Forceful Cultivator here, so... I think here we're just going to play defensive. Oh, defensive. Yeah, that was good. What the dog doing? Okay, here. Put this on green. Mill a card from our opponent. And have to face the unfortunate fact that they have a very big, scary Will-Woof. Well, at least you could say that was a quick game. Note to self when you go against Gruul Werewolves. If you can, try not to ever make it night for them. Ever. Okay, let's see. We're going against Scoots Bigoots.
Totes my goats. Cool.
Okay, that's kind of funny. Okay, here we got a pretty good hand. We can play this for green, get this red, get this blue, get Chronicle Worship outlined early. That's a good hand. Be nice and say hello to our opponent. Okay. Here I'm going to play the Chronicler of Worship. Got ourselves a Shrine. Splendorona. Let's see how our opponent responds to that. Say thanks. So our opponent's playing Mono Black shenanigans, which means we're going to have to deal with Meat Hook shenanigans. Okay, our opponent's going to Dread Fugue. Makes sense. What do they want to remove? The Mill Engine. Makes sense. Okay, here we're going to play the red. Here I think I'm going to play this. And decline. Mostly just to hold up our shrine against spot removal. Okay, remove the one that they know they have. We'll decline. You can go get a shrine. Here, I kind of want to get a plane so we can get started on that. Especially with cards like Hallowed Haunting. Then we'll not attack in. And deal 2 damage to the opponent's face. That way, at least a Meat Hook Massacre for 2 doesn't kill all of our stuff. Well, there goes our Mirror Bots, which is a little sad, not gonna lie. However, we are gonna get a Hallowed Haunting online, so let's do just that. Swing in for 4 first strike. We could activate. I'm still going to hold up my Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Let's protect our Mana Fitzy. Now I'm starting to regret to save the Mana Fitzy. We do kind of get to the point in this deck where we do rely on top decks a little bit. This is kind of like why you wish you draw a Welcoming Vampire and such to help with the card draw, so... Yeah, there's the Meat Hook. Uh-huh. Well, you were one time. Well, to be fair, we couldn't even play it because we didn't have the second plane, so... Well, unless we had the Chronicler Worship out, so... Okay. Hey, we got our own.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Nice. Also, one thing, the reason why I put Hallowed Haunting in this list, these are spirits. Just something to keep in mind. I'll sacrifice a creature. We'll take the 3 for now. Really, all we need to do is draw into a potential land? That's not bad, though. guess now we'll discard this card and just hope they don't have a Meat Hook Massacre for 4. That's not a Meat Hook Massacre, so we're good. They're going to draw a card. Okay. We will block. Doo-doo. Okay, at least we'll get the second planes out, just in case we need it for a rainy day. That's a good card. Okay, here, let's see if we can draw into a shrine. Thank you! And here, the ones we're going to choose is the token generator one, not the burn damage one, but yes, on the mill one. Soren, it was a good draw.
Out of my way. I have a way to stop. Nothing on Innistrad is free.
Wow. Okay. And our opponent did not realize that we know how to block. Well, a little anticlimactic, but got the job done. Bada beep, bada boop. Okay, we're gonna get. Okay, mythic level. This might be one-sided. Okay, if we're gonna go against someone, they're probably playing a very spiky deck. This is not a really great hand to keep. I think we might have to potentially mulligan. Better, but not amazing. Okay, so here we're gonna probably... Guardian of Faith is probably gonna have to be tossed. We're gonna have to get green. Pass turn to our opponent. We don't really need a second Go Shintai of Lost Wisdom. And we'll see what our opponent's playing. We'll see. Skeletons. It could be skeletal swarming travel deck. We can take the one here. We're gonna play this, pass the turn. Our opponent might have just removal, so we gotta keep that in mind. But we're not seeing it at the moment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, so that is important to know. If an opponent lost life this turn. Our opponent's kind of like in an interesting position here. Because they can attack with both. And still buff this up. But to do that, they would have to attack with both creatures and have to determine, and they decide the risk is not worth it, which, to be fair, I could definitely see the logic there. And here, I'm actually just going to activate the shrine, create a token, and pass the turn. Okay. Here, we're going to put this on green. Play the Goshen Tile Lost Wisdom. Draw a card. We'll play this one too while we're at it. Decline on that one. Decline on that one. I think milling cards from our opponent might be the safer plan. Especially when we mill their removal. That's a nice top deck. We're going to draw another card. Go Shintai will be a great next turn. For now, though, I think the play here is create spirits. Draw a second card. Decline on that still. And mill cards from our opponent just so that we don't get them any removal. Well, in theory. Deny them removal. They might be also just playing a Meat Hook Massacre and going to be setting up for a ridiculously big Meat Hook Massacre with our board state. That is also a technical possibility here. We'll chump block with a spirit. Okay, here we're going to play this. So, we want to hold up 3 mana, technically. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. To play the Go Shintai, we would have to... I think we can swing in with 1. See what happens. And now I think we're just at the point where we just essentially build up our board presence. Draw 2 cards, Dance of Welcoming Vampire. Deal some damage to our opponent's base. And mill some cards. Okay, give that lifelink. Makes sense to recover their board state. They were very instantaneous on that. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this, and I'm going to do this. See if they have a instant speed sport trick in theirs. That's what I thought. I mean, creature's still gonna die, so... And my shrine still survives, so I don't really mind that, to be honest. draw 2 cards. There's Volo and Mirror Bots. Okay, so we'll do this. We would do that, putting counters on the first striker, decline on that, and mill a few cards. And discard a card, we're going to discard a Cascade. Okay. I haven't really seen a board wipe from our opponent, so I think if we're going to show off Volo, this is going to be it, so... Draw some cards. Draw some cards. Discard a card. We'll discard a Crossroads. And just hope our opponent didn't top deck a board wipe. Okay, we could actually show off Volo shenanigans. Well, everybody, hold on to your seats. Okay, Volo's going to copy the Go Shintai, which gives us a few Go Shintais. Then it's also going to copy the Go Shintai of Lost Wisdom, which gets us another copy, so it gives us 2 Go Shintais. Which then, thanks to it being a low mana cost, we're actually going to draw a few cards. And then we have to keep in mind, do we want to play more, or do we want to essentially... we might as well. So we're going to play the Go Shintai of Boundless Vigor.
Stop! He's already dead!
Gets us another Go Shintai, gets us another Go Shintai. And I think we swing in with 14 tokens. Actually, we just attack in with everything because that's lethal. Excellent. I feel bad because this does feel like our opponent's playing one of those intro decks. And it kind of felt like they just went against a weird matchup. Though I do have to admit, getting to Mythic with a either optimized or various intro deck, kudos to our opponent there. That's very cool. And that was Volo Shrines. Now, I will admit, the deck could still use a little bit of tweaking here and there and such. Like I mentioned before, you can definitely go for some variations of just essentially Frollo Tamiyo keeping, as well as just essentially the Generous Visitor. Of course, one card that people are going to remiss me not including in the deck is they're probably wondering why I didn't include specifically Jukai Naturalist, specifically. And the main reason why is because our 2-drop slot was still competitive at the moment with both shrines in the deck, so this is kind of like the one that had to be cut out. Though, yes, I do have to admit, it has great synergy in the deck. You could maybe cut out a few Forceful Cultivators and throw in a few Jukai Naturalists if you want to go with that approach, especially if you want to go with more like a standard deck variation. Maybe... Actually, that is a way to make it into a standard deck. Maybe cut out the Chronicler Warships, throw in another 2-cost Mana Dork and a combination of Jukai Naturalists. That's something to keep in mind there. But besides that, that is the deck. It had some fun janky shenanigans. I hope you all had enjoyed them. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Also, I should mention that we still are currently going with the giveaway for the, pretty much for the Streets of New Capenna. I'll have details down in the link below and such, so if you want to win some cool MTG Streets of New Capenna loot, help out some people in the process, go follow the link down below. Nevertheless, I hope you all have a lovely day. This is LevDev, signing out. Bada beep, bada boop.